have just seen a short video clip regarding decentralization of power. Decentralization is an important current affair of Ukrainian internal politics. What has already been done and what still needs to be done, we'll be talking to Senior Project Coordinator of the Swiss-Ukrainian project supporting of Decentralization Ukraine DESPRO, Mrs. Oksana Garnets. Mrs. Garnets, welcome to Ukraine Today. Mrs. Garnets, let's start with your project. What is it about and what is aimed to do in Ukraine?
Well, the project is, as you told right now, decentralization support project to Ukraine. And it has already pretty long history. It started in 2007 when there was a direct request from the president, from President Yushchenko, to support the decentralization processes in Ukraine. And from this time, we have been working in this area, but in different fields, I would say. We try to have a comprehensive approach to the problem, because decentralization is, on the one hand, at the political level. These are laws, regulations, setup of the state management. On the other hand, it is also very practical things at local level, how people can work and function in a decentralized way. So starting from this local level, we are working with local communities, supporting them in establishing decentralized services provision, which means that they, by themselves, the communities, rural communities, they develop a project of decentralized water supply system in every village, and they implement it themselves, and then further they manage it themselves. So we have the whole process of, let's say, decentralized decision-making, participatory decision-making, and in the end of the day, we have an active community that can, on the one hand, manage the results of its project and also think about their own future, developing other projects, developing certain strategies of their own progress, etc. So this is the, let's say, the demonstration part of our project, because we have these type of projects in 5 regions of Ukraine, in Vinnytsia Oblast, in Poltava Oblast, in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, Sumy, and Ivano-Frankivsk. We also have been working in Crimea, but unfortunately these projects are now suspended. So from 2007 to 2013, we have implemented 78 of such projects of water supply, and now we have 40 more in the pipeline. So you can go to these villages at any time and talk to people and look how they perceive this whole process.
What is your role of your organization in these projects, in implementing of these projects? Did you provide financing? Did you provide advice? How did it work?
We provide several things. We provide, first of all, the opportunity for these communities and these small towns to have a chance to develop such a project. So we are conducting together, usually together with regional authorities, certain competitions where villages can apply with their projects and can get support from DESPRO in a financial way and also in a consultative way. So we are providing consultations, we are providing technical expertise to a certain extent, but now it is, I would say, not so really profound, because earlier the technical expertise was needed more. Now we have a lot of people at local level who can do it themselves. And the financing of the project is done in a so-called way of modality of co-financing. We are providing around 30% of the project cost. Then the local authorities, either village authorities or it could be rayon or even oblast, can provide the other 30%, and up to 40% is provided by the community itself.
Can you perhaps explain to our viewers in very simple terms, had it not been for your project, how would these villages be dealing with these issues otherwise?
We have such examples when those communities that either didn't pass the competition, or they were late with the competition, or by some reasons they were not fitting the criteria. They were developing such type of project themselves and looking for resources in with other players.
Okay, now let's take a look at the bigger picture, and let's take a look at the entire country. And again, in very general terms, what needs to be done in Ukraine to give the local communities, as such in your example, more autonomy?
First of all, the decentralization process should be fully put in place, and it means that the reform of local self-governance, which has now started, should be fully implemented. And this reform, it envisages a full set of laws that are dealing with the community amalgamation, dealing with new administrative and territorial setup, dealing with the cooperation of communities, with new regional policy, etc. So it is a whole, there are, let's say, maybe around 20, a little bit more than 20 key laws, and also a lot of laws should be amended after adopting these key laws.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
the legislation field is enormous to be changed. But if we're talking about the key areas which need to be targeted, can you name 3 to 5 key areas which need to be changed, after which you can say, yes, the decentralization is working here?
The key area that should be changed is the way the whole state system administration is managed. And this is
But what are we talking about? Are we talking about taxes? Are we talking about...
We're talking about taxes. We are talking about type of administrative setup. We are talking about the local communities, that they should receive really more power and more responsibilities. But to receive more power and more responsibilities, they should have the potential.
Okay, more power to do what?
Well, the key idea of decentralization is to bring decision-making and services as much as possible to people. So the local community needs to have the potential to really provide all necessary services that are supposed to be provided by local self-governance.
Can you name several examples?
Well, kindergarten, schools, solid waste, water, heating, all types of services.
So right now, all these services which you have just named are being provided by the central government.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Not all of them. They are not provided by the central government. Some of them are provided by have to be provided by local communities, but with those resources that local communities currently have, they cannot do it by themselves. We have 70% of rural communities that have subsidies from the government. So they have money in their budgets, sometimes only to pay the salaries to the village head and to the secretary of the village council, and that's it. So to have the potential, for example, to sustain the kindergarten, to pay for the to sustain the school, etc., they need to have more. Let's say they need to be larger. It is the point of economic scale.
So we're talking about budgeting. So more money should be left with the communities.
More money, and then they can really implement all those responsibilities they have. Because now they...
So basically more power and more money.
Yes, more responsibilities, more money. Not power, more responsibilities, more money.
Understood. Right now, a lot of, recently in Ukraine, a lot is being discussed about the possible federalization. In fact, there are a lot of forces which are trying to push Ukraine into becoming a federal state. Russia, Ukrainian communists, Ukraine current opposition. Can you, first of all, can you explain to our viewers the difference between more decentralized government and federalized government?
Decentralization means, as I told you, transferring all the responsibilities and power to the local level.
Well, not all. Most of it.
Most of it. Well, relevant power and responsibilities to the local level. And bringing all the services closer to those who are consuming these services. With decentralization, federalization means transferring power to the regions. So in a way, if we have, for example, strong communities, we can really see that the power is with the communities, the participation of citizens is empowered, and the responsibilities that are key responsibilities of the local self-governance, they are implemented again at the lowest level, at the local level. On the other hand, if we talk about federalization, we in fact would have in the country not one government, but let's say 24 governments, smaller governments, which should be paid and by the taxpayers, and that will have the possibility to let's say, to conduct their own policies. These regional governments, they will really be a burden to the local citizens, because it means that the taxation should, the taxes should be paid not only to keep this government functioning, but also the central government functioning. Besides, getting into the history, federalization is not the most popular type of state, let's say, functioning. Among the about 200 states that exist in the world, only 24 are federalized and are federal states. And there is hardly an example in the history that shows when a unitary state became a federal state.
So do I understand correctly that without decentralization of the power, if the federalization takes place, nothing basically will change for the communities? Communities will still remain with the same amount of power they have right now.
Exactly, or even less. Then it will depend on their regional, let's say, regional governments.
Mrs. Garnets, from your position as the project coordinator and as independent third party, how would you assess the government's activities during the last year to decentralize the government, the power?
The power. Well, if you compare the activities of the government in the previous year, in the months of 2015, if you compare them with the activities of the government in the previous 3 years, I mean 2010, 2013, they are enormous, of course. But if you look at this from a really neutral point of view, of course, there could be a lot of things could be done quicker and maybe better. I mean that I already told that have told that the whole set of legislation that is needed was developed earlier, and it could be the process of adopting this legislation and therefore of pushing the reform further could be much shorter. But it is also not only, let's say, it doesn't only deal with the government, but it also with the parliament. After the parliamentary elections, it went much quicker.
Earlier, Ms. Garnets, you said that there are at least 20 new laws which need to be adopted and a number of other laws which need to be amended. Obviously, this is a long process. When will the local communities, when will the people in the communities see the real changes that they have already received more power?
First of all, these laws are already in place, and some of them are already in the parliament, some of them are adopted, some of them are already in the parliament, and some will be submitted to parliament shortly. So I mean that this set of papers, documents, is already in place. So it will not take so much time to adopt these 20 laws. The changes to the other laws, of course, it will take much more time. On the other hand, one of the key things, the changes to the budget that were adopted this year, they already envisage fiscal decentralization. So the local budgets, they are now able to receive much more resources than they were able to have earlier. So it is already a good step to show that this decentralized way of functioning of the state is much more, let's say, friendly to the local communities.
Mrs. Garnets, thank you for talking to us. In the near future, we'll be showing our viewers more short video clips of the up-to-date questions of the Ukrainian governance. This was Volodymyr Suluhu for Ukraine Today, together with the Senior Project Coordinator of the Swiss-Ukrainian Project for Supporting of Decentralization in Ukraine DESPRO, Mrs. Oksana Garnets. Thank you for watching us.